Okay, picture a modern college campus. It's bustling, it's diverse, and it's packed with students from literally every background imaginable, just walking to class. But, beneath the surface of that everyday campus life, there are these hidden, data-backed truths about our society that often just get buried right under sensationalized headlines. So today, we're doing an explainer that moves right past all that noise. We're looking strictly at the numbers to uncover the actual reality of Muslim Americans. And really, we're going to see how understanding these facts is the absolute key to building genuine interfaith bridges.
So, ask yourself honestly for a second, what actually comes to mind when you think of Muslims in America? It's a question we kind of all need to confront, because let's face it, in recent years, perceptions of Muslims have become heavily distorted and deeply politicized in our media landscape. Information is absolutely everywhere, right? But accurate, objective information that actually helps us connect with our neighbors, well, that can be a whole lot harder to find.
Let's kick things off with just the sheer scale of the community. Right now, there are at least 3.45 million Muslims currently living in the United States. To put that into perspective, that is roughly the entire population of Utah. I mean, they're a massive, vibrant segment of our society. These are our neighbors, our classmates, our coworkers. Yet despite this huge number, most Americans still know very little about who they actually are.
And honestly, that lack of knowledge has very real-world consequences, especially on our college campuses. Nearly half, we're talking 48% of Muslim Americans report experiencing some form of discrimination. That's millions of people facing prejudice in their day-to-day lives. And research from Neighborly Faith shows us that this discrimination is overwhelmingly rooted in misinformation and misperception. It's literally blocking the path to true interfaith understanding.
But here is where the data just completely shatters the popular narrative. Despite the really loud Islamophobic rhetoric you might hear suggesting Muslims are anti-American or somehow unwilling to assimilate, a staggering 92% are fiercely proud to call themselves Americans. No, really. The vast majority view themselves as highly integrated, deeply satisfied, and overwhelmingly optimistic about their experiences here in the US.
Which brings us to one of the most pervasive myths out there, and that's ethnic identity. Get this, an overwhelming 88% of US Muslims do not identify as Arab. In fact, a full quarter of the demographic is African American, and the remaining 63% represent a massive variety of other non-Arab backgrounds. So they are ethnically, culturally, and religiously incredibly diverse.
And you know what? That diversity extends right into the voting booth, with 62% leaning Democrat, 17% Republican, and 21% with no leaning. The data reveals a community that doesn't just fit neatly into polarized boxes. Their views are deeply issue-based. This basically means you might easily find common ground with them on conservative issues one day and progressive ones the next. It makes for some incredibly nuanced and rich campus conversations.
Now, when we shift our focus to the women of this community, another pervasive media stereotype just completely crumbles. A powerful 92% of US Muslims do not oppose women working outside the home. This overwhelming consensus completely upends those tragic, submissive tropes that get so constantly recycled in the media.
The reality here is that Muslim American women are absolute powerhouses. They're often more highly educated than the average American woman, and they actually report a smaller wage gap than women in literally any other religious group. So far from being sidelined, they are champions of civic engagement, they're leading scholars who are actively shaping our society and driving social activism across the board.
And this progressive integration is matched by a truly profound commitment to peace. When surveyed about military attacks on civilians, Muslim Americans view such violence as categorically indefensible. In fact, they oppose this kind of violence more than any other religious group in the country. To put that into context, compare it to other groups, including Protestants, Catholics, Jews, Mormons, and atheists, where between 43 to 64% believe such attacks could actually be justifiable under certain conditions. So the peaceful stance of Muslim Americans is remarkably clear.
Building right on that foundation of peace, 92% express deep tolerance toward other faiths. They are actively seeking out interfaith friendships, and they totally embrace coexistence, all while remaining completely devoted to their own Islamic values. A solid majority accept interfaith marriage and report close friendships with non-Muslims. It really makes them an ideal partner for bridge building in our communities.
But we can't ignore the lingering reality here.
Despite being among the absolute most tolerant groups, 60% of Muslims still face religious discrimination in institutional settings. We're talking about places like airport security lines, workplace break rooms, and healthcare facilities. Even though Jews and Muslims experience similar levels of religious discrimination overall, Muslims are the group likeliest to face this specific kind of institutional prejudice in public spaces.
So, the big question is, how do we bridge this gap? Especially for evangelical college students who are looking to step up and build genuine interfaith friendships on campus. Well, the research points to 3 actionable steps. First up, internalize these facts and actively share them. Second, approach every single campus interaction with compassion, kindness, and a neighborly faith. And third, actively seek out initiatives like the Boundless program, which directly pairs Christian students with influential Muslim peers in their field.
And this really brings us to a guiding principle that ties this whole shebang together. Train a generation of leaders to love and lead like Jesus in a diverse world. That is the core mission of Neighborly Faith, which is the student-led organization behind all this data. Because fact-checking isn't just about, winning a debate. It's about clearing away the noise so you can actually build authentic, compassionate connections and lasting friendships with people of other faiths.
Which leads us to the ultimate question for you. How will you live out a neighborly faith on your campus today? You've got the data now. Take these surprising statistics, shatter the myths in your own circles, and take practical steps to build meaningful friendships across faith lines. Start a conversation, share what you've learned from this explainer, and go be the bridge.